We all know Eugene Sandow as the father of bodybuilding, and let me tell you, he certainly earned that title, but it wouldn't be fair to simply disregard everyone that came before him. So in this video, I would like to go down the rabbit hole of physical culture history to share with you a couple key figures you might not have heard of. And what better place to start than with Sandow's own mentor, a man known as Professor Attila. If Sandow is the father of bodybuilding, then this guy is like the grandfather. Attila not only trained and discovered Sandow, some sources say he was the one who pushed his protege to adopt the name Eugene Sandow in the first place. Attila taught him showmanship and was instrumental in building Sandow's legendary physique. Simply put, there would be no Sandow if it weren't for Professor Attila. But Attila's influence on the world of physical culture began before Sandow was even born. Attila was himself a professional performer. He toured all over Europe showing off his impressive feats of strength. He was also very intelligent and an innovative thinker. Attila spoke 5 languages fluently and is credited with inventing the famous bent press, the Roman chair, and even some of the earliest adjustable barbells. During his tours, many people would ask him for fitness advice. His influence would reach so far that there came a point in his career where he was personally training some of the most important people in the world, including the Tsar of Russia, the King of England, the King of Norway, and several titans of industry such as Cornelius Vanderbilt. Attila was clearly bringing physical culture to the big leagues, even if he didn't quite reach the superstar celebrity level that his pupil later would. When he retired from performing, Attila went on to open several gyms, first in Brussels, then London, and finally he would settle in New York, where in the 1890s he opened one of the world's best physical culture studios. This gym was the home base of many of the world's greatest athletes and was visited by countless more. We're talking about the likes of James Corbett, Louis Cyr, Milo Bryn, Bobby Pandour, Lionel Strongfort, and even the Saxon brothers. Attila's influence on 19th century physical culture can be summed up with a challenge he posted in the National Police Gazette magazine in 1894, quote, $1,000 to any charity if I cannot conclusively prove that every alleged instructor of physical culture in this country is either a former pupil of mine or using one of the systems I have originated and perfected, and which from time to time I have published. So you might be thinking it all started with Professor Attila, but we can go back even further. Felice Napoli was born in Italy in 1821. He was among the very first of the great circus strongmen, and he performed in the most prestigious venues all across Europe. In these amazing posters from the time, we can see elements of his act, including bending iron bars, shouldering a cannon, several high-level calisthenics moves, heavy lifting while hanging upside down by his feet, and even the so-called Tomb of Hercules, where a large slab of stone was smashed on top of him. Many of these stunts would become standard among performing strongmen over the coming decades, but Napoli's performances would have been totally unique to most people who got to see them. And he wasn't just strong. Napoli was a brilliant showman with a beautiful singing voice. We can only imagine how awesome it must have been to witness his act. Well, you know who didn't have to imagine? Professor Attila. When he was a teenager, he got to see Napoli perform. Captivated by his strength and muscles, Attila asked Napoli if he could mentor him, and that's exactly what happened. So just like Attila would later teach Sandow, Napoli taught the young Attila everything he knew, including all his feats of strength and how to put on a good show. This is really fascinating because even though Felice Napoli is now almost completely forgotten, if we follow the trail back like we just did, it turns out he played a key role in the birth of modern physical culture. Another very important figure in early physical culture was a French man named Hippolyte Triat. He was born in 1812 and became a strongman in the most ridiculous way possible. Basically, when he was 6 years old, he was kidnapped at a carnival by a group of gypsies that later sold him to an Italian troupe of traveling performers who dressed him up as a girl and had him perform a wire walking act. Crazy, I know. Later, when the troupe split up, Triat stayed with one of the men, and together they formed a strongman and physique posing group. While on tour, Triat got trampled by a horse, which broke his leg. So to keep himself busy during his recovery, he started reading about ancient Greek and Roman gymnastics and exercise. During the late 1840s, he used some of this knowledge to open a remarkable gymnasium in Paris. Check out this fantastic illustration from 1854, where we can see just how huge this place was, complete with multiple floors of balconies for spectators to watch the athletes train in their group classes. If we look on the far right of the illustration, we can see a man standing with what is pretty clearly a barbell. But if we look even closer, we can see there are barbell racks lining the entire length of the walls. That might not seem like an unusual thing to find in a gym, but it turns out that Triat is credited with being one of the first to popularize barbell exercises. And some sources even say that he actually invented the barbell, something which we all now consider ubiquitous and a cornerstone of our training, started right here in Hippolyte Triat's Parisian gym in the mid-1800s. Though, of course, like Triat discovered in those books, we can go much further back than the 1800s. Here's a mosaic found in a Roman villa in Sicily. We can see a shockingly modern looking depiction of a woman that is clearly wearing a bikini and holding a pair of dumbbells. This is from the beginning of the 4th century, so we're talking about 1,700 years ago. It's part of a larger frame where we can see women practicing long jumping, discus throwing, and some kind of handball, proving that there really is nothing new about the quest for physical fitness or athleticism, even for women. The ancient Greeks were using dumbbells for exercise as far back as 700 BC, which is around the same time they started organizing the original Olympic Games. And we can't forget the famous story of Milo of Croton progressively overloading his strength by carrying a growing calf every day. No doubt there are examples of physical training all throughout human history. So the point is that this desire to be muscular, fit, and strong is in no way unique to us. It's tempting to put bodybuilding in this neat little box and say it all started with Sandow, but in reality I think it's really just a part of the human condition. It always has been and likely always will be, even as fads, legends, methods, and standards come and go. Let me know if you guys would be interested in watching a deep dive into ancient training methods, or even medieval training. There's quite a lot of history there. Make sure to drop a like if you made it this far and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.